Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, a couple of relief pitchers who we had hoped or thought the Dodgers might have their eyes on signed with other teams over the weekend, both with AL West teams, actually. We will talk about that and what that maybe means for the Dodgers' approach to relievers. And I will make 4 bold predictions for the 2024 Dodgers. So that's what's on tap. So let's get Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Dodger fans, this is Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you to our everydayers for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Remember, this show is free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. Please subscribe wherever you're watching or listening right now. My name is Jeff Snider. My normal co-host is Vince Samperio, although it's just me today. Vince and I are both lifelong Dodger fans, just like a lot of you. We've also both spent time covering the Dodgers in the press box and the locker room. So we're not quite insiders, but we bring you the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And speaking of get started, let's get started. It was not a busy weekend for the Dodgers, but a busy weekend for a couple guys who we thought might be Dodgers free agent targets. One of those is Josh Hader, who signed a 5-year deal for $95 million with the Astros. And the other one was Robert Stephenson, who signed a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Angels. And different kinds of pitchers. Stevenson's right-handed, Hader's left-handed. Hader is an elite closer. Stephenson is, he has 3 career saves. But the thing they have in common is that they both pitched really, really well last year. They're also similar ages. Obviously, Hader got more money because Hader is an established closer, an elite closer, potentially, depending on how the rest of his career goes, potentially a Hall of Fame closer. Robert Stephenson won't be making the Hall of Fame, but he was very, very good, especially, last year he was only good after he got traded to the Tampa Bay Rays. He got traded June 2nd. Oh, that's my birthday. By the Pirates to the Rays. He had been pretty lousy with the Pirates, had a 5.14 ERA and a 5.33 FIP. So it's not like it was undeserved. The most notable thing was the walks per 9. I knew it was somewhere there. 5.1 walks per 9. His walk rate with the Pirates was 13.1%, or as we call it, Blake Snell territory. And after getting traded to Tampa Bay, his walk rate plummeted from 13.1% to 5.7%. His strikeout rate also skyrocketed, which is the opposite of plummeting. Both in these cases are good. You want the low walk rate, the high strikeout rate. His strikeout rate went from 27.9% with the Pirates, which is above average, but not ridiculously so, to 42.9%, which is ridiculously above average. Strikeouts per 9, if you prefer that metric, went from 10.9 to 14.1. Stephenson was very good after he went to the Rays, and that earned him a 3-year, $30 million contract. And I feel like this might tell us something about the Dodgers' philosophy on relief pitching that maybe we already knew. We've talked about it a little bit in the past, that relief pitchers are the most volatile players in baseball. They are the most unreliable, unpredictable way to spend your money as a team. And the Dodgers almost never play in the deep end when it comes to free agent relief pitchers. They did pay Kenley Jansen a lot of money to come back to the team. But that was, that was retaining one of their own players. I think they were willing to overpay a little bit to bring back Kenley Jansen. He was a fan favorite. He was an elite closer, all that stuff. And so keeping him in Dodger blue was different than signing a free agent closer. Really, like the biggest contract I can think of that they've given a relief pitcher recently was Joe Kelly, the 3-year deal they gave him. And what was that, after the 2018 season. And, that was about the same contract that Robert Stephenson got. I think Joe Kelly had a longer track record. And Joe Kelly was very volatile too. But also B, I think maybe not that the Dodgers regretted that Joe Kelly deal, but I think you can make a pretty decent case that there were times that it wasn't working out for them. And overall, they did end up letting him go. They brought him back. But Joe Kelly, the deal he signed wasn't an unqualified success. We'll put it that way. And other than that, they just don't pay a lot of money for relievers sometimes, and or most of the time, I mean. And when you look at the 5-year, $95 million deal that Hader got, no way the Dodgers are going to do that. We've talked about Hader a lot, but it's always been if his asking price comes down, whether both in money and in years, but mostly in years. I think the Dodgers probably would have done the $19 million a year for Hader if he was willing to sign for a couple of years. But we talked about the draft pick. They would have lost 2 draft picks if they signed Hader. A lot of things that go into those decisions. I think the price would have had to been right for the Dodgers to sign Hader. Stephenson, I don't think anybody really expected him to get 3 years and $30 million. And the Dodgers weren't going to be the team to give Robert Stephenson 3 years and $30 million. Our buddies at Locked On Angels, obviously they were excited that the Angels did something. And Stephenson makes the Angels bullpen better, for sure. And one of their Twitter interactions was an Angels fan who was just poo-pooing the deal and comparing it to Tyler Anderson. Oh, let's see. A guy sucks, and then he goes to a team with the great pitching lab and has a good season, and then the Angels will give him 3 years, $30 million. And the Locked On Angels guys, those guys are really good. If you like the Angels at all, Locked On Angels is a great show. The Frisch brothers do a great job over there. I really like those guys. And they rightfully were annoyed by this guy poo-pooing the Angels for actually doing something. And, it's like, darn if you do, darn if you don't. Well, you're mad they're not doing anything. Okay, they did something. Now you're mad at what they did. So I get their viewpoint, but as a non-Angels fan, I kind of get the guy's point. I'm not convinced that Robert Stephenson is an elite relief pitcher. I know he was for the 3 months he was a Tampa Bay Ray last year, but I don't know if he is, and I don't know if he will be for the next 3 years. Even actual elite, I don't even know if Josh Hader will be an elite relief pitcher for the next 3 years. Relief pitchers are so volatile. Their shelf life is so short that the Dodgers generally don't play in that deep end. And I think maybe Robert Stephenson, if anything, is an argument in favor of not signing guys like Robert Stephenson, because it's like, if for a team like the Dodgers, hey, look, a smart team like the Rays took a guy with good stuff and was able to hone it in and turn him into a great reliever. Sound familiar? Evan Phillips, friend of the show, last week's guest, sound a little bit like what the Dodgers did with Evan Phillips, sound like what they did for a year with Yancy Almonte, sound like what they've done with a lot of different relief pitchers. And when you look at who the Dodgers have in the minor leagues, that's the most intriguing part to me, because the Dodgers have a lot of great arms who are not young, 24 to 26 years old in the minor leagues, which means they're ready to pitch in the big leagues. And maybe not in a starting rotation, but there's plenty of guys. Chris Sale started his career as a reliever while he got his feet wet and then transitioned to starting. Could we see Kyle Hurt or Nick Frasso or River Ryan in a relief role this year, or maybe all three of those guys at different times? Kyle Hurt's already on the 40-man roster. Nick Frasso is on the 40-man roster, I believe. I feel like I should know that. He is. River Ryan's not. But, those guys, great arms and great stuff, probably better stuff than Robert Stephenson. And so maybe they are one at a time. Hey, let's get this guy 10 or 12 innings in relief in the big leagues to get his feet wet, to, see what we have there. The Dodgers maybe don't need to give a guy $10 or $19 million a year with the arms that they have in their system that they don't have room for in their starting rotation. Maybe it's time to give those guys a shot in the bullpen. And maybe that's what they're thinking. Maybe they're just thinking, we're not giving Robert Stephenson $10 million a year for 3 years. But whatever it is, they didn't sign those guys. I'm okay with that. I wouldn't have been thrilled with 3 and 30 for Stephenson. Wouldn't have been thrilled with 5 and 95 for Hader. I wouldn't have mind having either guy in the bullpen at the right price. And again, it's not my money, but I think the Dodgers made a wise move, and I'm interested to see what that means for their future bullpen thoughts. I'm going to come back in a minute, and I am going to make some bold predictions about the 2024 Dodgers, and I think you might enjoy some of them. They're pretty fun. So that's what's on tap. So please be sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply, eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Hey, Dodger fans, we are back. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Especially thank you to our everydayers. If you're not an everydayer, we'd love if you become one. It's really easy. All you got to do is watch or listen every weekday morning. Heck, it doesn't even have to be the morning. We want you to make us your first listen. But if you don't get to us in the afternoon, guess what? That's okay too. Afternoon listens are awesome too. Even better, listen in the morning, listen in the afternoon, maybe watch it on YouTube while you're at work. All sorts of stuff. You can get all your Locked On Dodgers fix as many times as you want every day. Also, be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles. That's two 24/7 streaming channels on YouTube from the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Obviously, Locked On Sports Today focuses on the entire national sports landscape. Locked On Sports Los Angeles specifically focuses on Los Angeles sports, believe it or not. And you can become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. It's a great way to support us a little bit financially. It's just a few bucks a month. Think of it like a Patreon, except you get text blasts from us and you can reply. You can interact with us, text back and forth. It's a lot of fun. Dozens and dozens of you are doing that right now, and we are having a ton of fun talking Dodgers with you over there. So go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. There's a free 14-day trial, so check that out. Okay, now let's dig back into our episode. Like I said, the Dodgers didn't make any moves this weekend. I'm interested to see what else they do. Like, there's still little things to be done, but I mean, they could go into spring training with the roster they have right now and call it good. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Wouldn't be surprised if they do more. But either way, spring training is coming up. We found out the Dodgers report on like February 8th. It's about a week earlier than everybody else except the Padres, because the Dodgers and Padres are starting the season a week earlier than everybody else in Korea, and they're leaving nearly a week before those games for Korea so they can get acclimated and all of that stuff. So their spring training is going to be abbreviated in Arizona, so they're getting started a little bit early. So we're only a couple weeks away, like 2.5 weeks, I guess, from the Dodgers reporting, pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training. Super excited about that. And with the season looming, I thought I would give you some bold predictions. Bold predictions are fun. They're intended to be bold. But I think they should be somewhat realistic, but not too realistic. They got to be bold. And so I've got 4 of them. I'm going to do 2 of them. Then I'm going to take an ad break, and then I'm going to do 2 more, and then we're going to wrap it up. Sound good? All right. My first bold prediction for the 2024 Dodgers is about Shohei Ohtani. You heard of him, right? Decent free agent. The Dodgers signed this offseason. Shohei Ohtani is one of the most talented players in baseball, even when he's not pitching. He is an elite offensive player. He is one of the best hitters in baseball, and he won't be pitching this year because of his non-Tommy John, whatever it was, his arm surgery. He's not going to be pitching probably at all this year, but he will be hitting. And I predict that 2 different times he will hit for the cycle this year. Very few players have hit for the cycle twice in the same season. It's happened a couple times. I can actually only think of one. What was that? I can't remember the guy's name now. He played for the D-backs. He wasn't very good, but he actually hit for the cycle like twice in a week and a half or something. So it's happened a couple times. Only a handful of guys have hit for the cycle multiple times in their career. Christian Yelich has done it 3 times, and I think all 3 times it was against the same team, maybe the Reds. But anyway, Shohei Ohtani is going to hit for the cycle twice in 2024. And he's kind of he's the perfect skill set to hit for the cycle. The hardest part of hitting for the cycle is the triple, because you have to be fast. Triples are often the result of a fluke. Somebody taking a bad route, diving for a ball and not quite getting it, so the ball rolls to the wall, something like that. Not always, but often. Well, Shohei Ohtani is very, very fast, elite sprint speed, and the Dodgers play against the Giants, who have a right center field gap that's sometimes called Triples Alley. They play against the Diamondbacks, who have a huge outfield, very, very triple friendly. And they play against the Rockies, who have the second largest outfield in baseball. I think Kansas City is bigger by a little bit. Definitely the largest in the National League. And so 3 of the 4 teams in the Dodgers division have triple friendly stadiums. So the hardest part is the triple. Next hardest part is the home run. Shohei Ohtani don't got no problem hitting home runs, especially in Arizona or Colorado, or even San Francisco. Shohei Ohtani might make real close friends with that Muncie. What do we call it? Muncie Harbor. Anyway, 2 cycles for Ohtani, although I do think one of them will come at home, because Dodger Stadium, if you pull one right down the line, the way the outfield wall kind of just curves, if you catch it right at the bottom, the ball will sometimes curve around and slip away from the right fielder as he's trying to track it down. So one at home, and let's say the other one in Arizona. There we go. I won't give you dates, but 2 cycles for Ohtani. That's my first bold prediction. My second bold prediction is that 8 different Dodgers players will get MVP votes this year. MVP ballot has up to 10 spots. And in any given year, we'll see somewhere between 15 and 25 different players in each league getting an MVP vote somewhere on the ballot. And so I'm not saying 8 guys will get first place votes, but I think there will be so much spread out talent on the Dodgers that 8 different guys will get at least one 10th place MVP vote. Obviously, some of the usual suspects, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, those guys finished 1, 2, and 3 in the MVP voting last year, although not in the same league. They seem like shoo-ins. Will Smith could get some votes. On the pitching side, Yoshinobu Yamamoto could get some votes. Bobby Miller could get some votes. I think Bobby Miller is getting some Cy Young votes. That's not my bold prediction because that's too easy. Tyler Glasnow could get some MVP votes. That's only 7 names. Well, somebody else is going to sneak up on us. And guess what? My next bold prediction, which I'm going to get to after the break, is the other name on my 8 Dodgers getting MVP votes. So let's go ahead and take our last break, and then I'll come back and I'll give you my next bold prediction about who the other Dodger is who I think will get MVP votes in 2024. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning, and please keep it locked on Dodgers. I have returned. This is Locked On Dodgers. I am Jeff Snider, not filling in. I'm supposed to be with Vince, but I'm by myself, and that's okay. Vince actually had a power outage in his neighborhood tonight. That's why it's just me, but that's okay because I already had some of these bold predictions that we were maybe going to do a bold predictions episode together, but he can make his on another day. So let's talk some more about my bold predictions. As I tease going to the break, one other Dodger who I think will get MVP votes this year is a guy who's not currently a Dodger, and that is Nolan Arenado. So I guess maybe the bold prediction is that Nolan Arenado will be a Dodger by the end of the season. But yeah, I'm saying Nolan Arenado will be a Dodger by the end of the season, and he will get MVP votes. And whether it's an injury to Max Muncy that gets the Dodgers to pull the trigger on a trade, or it's ineffectiveness by Muncy, hopefully not that, but and hopefully not an injury either. Maybe it's just the Cardinals are ready to get rid of Arenado, and Arenado, the Dodgers didn't have an opening at first base when they signed Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman's a guy you make room for. And so Nolan Arenado is a guy you make room for. And so whether that, there's ways to get around that. One way or another, though, I think this year, Nolan Arenado ends up on the Dodgers and gets MVP votes. That is a bold prediction. The Cardinals haven't traded him yet. The Cardinals are hoping to contend. They haven't had a great offseason, but they've made some signings to their starting rotation. They also brought back Matt Carpenter, so that works against them. But, anything can happen. But if the Cardinals aren't contending, we know Arenado is from Southern California. A listener to our podcast once told me that he served Nolan Arenado's parents in a restaurant, and they told him that Nolan really wants to be a Dodger. So take that, that's fourth hand information. You heard it here fourth on Locked On Dodgers. But I think Nolan Arenado would look great in Dodger blue. I think the Dodgers would be a great place for him. And, if the Cardinals are ready to get rid of him, the Dodgers trade enough prospects, Cardinals eat some contract, it could be a good deal. It's a long-term deal, but if the Cardinals are eating enough of the money, it could be a win-win for both sides. So that's my third of 4 bold predictions. Now, my last one, I'm going back to Shohei Ohtani. I'm so excited to see Shohei Ohtani in a Dodger uniform on the field. We've seen him at the press conference, but actually playing for the Dodgers. I remember when the Dodgers traded for Mookie Betts and how excited I was to see Mookie in person on the field in a Dodger uniform. And it was everything I dreamed it was. Same with Freddie Freeman. Like these guys, and I've told you guys before, Mookie and Freddie were 2 of my favorite players even before the Dodgers got them. And I told you earlier this offseason, before the Dodgers signed Ohtani, he fits that same mold. He is one of my favorite players, always has been. He's so much fun to watch. Everybody looks good in Dodger blue, and Shohei looks good in everything. And so it's going to be so fun to watch. But one of the things that we are going to see Shohei Ohtani do is he is going to join the likes of Mike Piazza, Mark McGwire, Fernando Tatis Jr., Giancarlo Stanton, and Willie Stargell. Shohei Ohtani will hit a ball out of Dodger Stadium in a game in 2024. He'll become just the second left-handed hitter to do it. Willie Stargell did it twice. He's the only one to do it twice. I already told you Ohtani's going to hit for the cycle twice. Maybe his cycle at Dodger Stadium includes a home run that goes out of the stadium. I don't know if it'll be the same game. I'm not quite that predictive, but Ohtani will join Willie Stargell as just the second left-handed hitter to hit a ball out of Dodger Stadium. And that means over the roof of the pavilion. Now, due to renovations, it would still be inside the stadium, but that's the definition of hitting it out of Dodger Stadium. It's over the pavilion roof, and he could get it all the way to the parking lot. It's not that much farther, but Ohtani is a beast, and I think he's going to do it nearly daily. Yeah. Oh no, he doesn't take batting practice on the field. That's a bummer. Maybe he will though. I think that's right. Shohei Ohtani doesn't take a lot of batting practice on the field before games. I think that's what I remember. But maybe he will to Dodgers because Dodger fans love watching their Dodgers take batting practice, and watching him hit tanks in batting practice would be fun. But in a game, he will hit one over the pavilion in right field, and at least one, maybe 3. Who knows? That's my bold predictions. I'd love to hear your bold predictions. Last year, the only bold prediction I remember making did not come true. I predicted that the Dodgers would win the World Series and that Clayton Kershaw would then ride off in glory and retire. Obviously, the Dodgers didn't win the World Series, and Clayton Kershaw spent part of the season injured and obviously was a part of them not winning the World Series with his clunker in the NLDS. I'm hoping that I was just a year early on that prediction. I do think Kershaw wants to come back and get his 3,000 strikeouts. I think he will sign with the Dodgers at some point this spring, whether it's spring training or early in the season, even though he won't pitch until later in the season. But all of that said, That's the only bold prediction I remember. I should have gone back and looked at last year's episode to see how I did. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I have the technology. I'm going to hit pause on this recording right now, and I'm going to pull up and I'm going to look and see what I predicted last year besides that. So I'll be right back, and you won't even notice I was gone. Well, I told you it wouldn't last long, although it lasted a little longer than I expected it to, because I'll tell you a secret. I just talked for about 4 minutes with my microphone on mute. I had hit mute on my microphone while I watched the video because I was getting feedback because it was coming through my speakers. Hit mute, and then I forgot to unmute it. So anyway, I did go back and look at our predictions from last year, and here's what I discovered. We didn't do a great job. Vince predicted that the Dodgers would have a rookie in the All-Star game, either Miguel Vargas or James Outman. That didn't work out. Outman did have a solid season, finished third in the Rookie of the Year voting, but at the time of the All-Star game, he was kind of slumping and kind of slumped pretty hard leading up to the All-Star game, and so wasn't really in consideration for the All-Star game. And then his other one was that the Dodgers would have a lot of walk-offs like they did in 2019. His rationale for that was that because the Dodgers weren't going to be as much better than everybody else than they had been in 2022, that there was going to be closer games and therefore more walk-offs. The Dodgers did have 7 walk-offs last year, which is not as many as 2019. I feel like they had like 11 or something in 2019. But so 7 it's a lot, but not enough probably to say my bold prediction was correct. My 2 bold predictions, like I said, I had the Clayton Kershaw one where the Dodgers would win the World Series and Kershaw would retire, maybe even announcing his retirement at the World Series parade, I said. My other bold prediction didn't even come that close. It was that Dustin May would throw a no-hitter. And not only that, I got more specific. I said Dustin May would throw a no-hitter in his final start before the All-Star break. I even said how many pitches he would throw in the game. And ultimately, by the time that game rolled around that I thought was going to be Dustin May's no-hitter, he was already on the injured list, having had Tommy John surgery. So that one didn't work out. And if I was making a long-term bold prediction right now, I might predict that Dustin May will never throw a no-hitter in his career, because the more I think about it, the more I think his future might be in the bullpen, just with his, his inability to stay healthy with that workload of a starter. Even like some of the struggles he's had as a starter at times, with like having enough pitches to get through a lineup multiple times, all those things, he could maybe, he might throw even harder coming out of the bullpen. Picture him coming in, throwing 102, 103 miles an hour out of the bullpen with that movement. He could be an elite relief pitcher. And I think that might be his role. Maybe even this year, if he does come back this year, it would almost surely be in a relief role because he won't be built up to be a starter. And that might be a preview of the rest of his career. I talked in the first segment about maybe, guys like Kyle Hurt and Nick Frasso and River Ryan being relief pitchers for the Dodgers this year. Dustin May might fit in that category, although slightly differently, although May is about the same age as some of those guys. Like he is young for a big leaguer and they're a little bit old for minor leaguers. So kind of the same boat there. So yeah, we didn't do great on our bold predictions last year. I feel good about these ones though. This year, I'm feeling real good about them. So we'll revisit this a year from now. I think my main takeaway about all of this was just that I miss having a beard. And it's kind of funny because I don't actually, it's weird. I think I look better with a beard, but I don't like having a beard, if that makes sense. And it's not even like I don't like the way the beard feels or anything. I don't mind that. I don't know. I just don't feel like I'm a beard guy. I'm going to upload this picture. That's my main takeaway as I was watching this. Our bold predictions was, man, that beard looked pretty good a year ago. And maybe you disagree, but you can tell me about that in the YouTube comments if you think, man, that was ugly. There I am a year ago on opening day. And I don't know, like the gray and the beard, I look distinguished. And I don't know, without the beard, I just got this big fat face, but that's all right. If you're not watching on YouTube, by the way, just picture a guy with a big fat face and then picture a guy with a big fat face with a gray beard over it. And you just pictured me both times. So that was my main takeaway from going back and looking at all that. But other than that, that's all my bold predictions for today. That's this episode for today. hopefully maybe some Dodgers news this week. We'll see. It may be a little bit slow news-wise heading into spring training, but whatever happens, Vince and I will be here. Sometimes Vince or I, but one of us at least will be here every weekday morning, just like we have been for the last 5 years. 2 months from now, it will be 5 years since we went to the 5 days a week, and we have done at least 5 episodes every single week. We have not missed a day, and we're not planning on starting anytime. And so if you want to be an everydayer like we are, just watch or listen every weekday morning. It's a lot easier for you. All you got to do is watch or listen. We have to record it. We have to talk about it. We have to research all this stuff. Then we have to edit and upload all. It takes us a lot longer to do this. You can even put us in 1.5 speed, and you can get through this thing in 22 minutes, while the rest, it takes us longer than that. So you're welcome, but it is a lot of fun. We love talking Dodgers with you. We really, really do. I say that a lot, but I really mean it. It is one of my favorite things. So thanks for being an everydayer. If you already are one, if you're not, become one. If you have friends or family who love the Dodgers, please tell them about the show. Be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, the two 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network. Also, be sure to become a Locked On Dodgers insider. For just a few bucks a month, you can get text blasts from us and text back and forth with us by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. There's a free 14-day trial. It's a great way to talk Dodgers with us and support us a little bit financially. If you love the show, think of it like a Patreon. You can also follow us on Instagram and on Twitter at Locked On Dodgers. Vince is on Twitter at VinceSense91. I'm on Twitter at Snydog, and our Instagram is newly reactivated. We're doing a lot more over there, so it's a lot of fun. So check that out. You can also email us lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or you can send us a voicemail or a text message to 323-863-LOCK, 5625. We are here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car or sit on your couch, tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. We'll talk to you tomorrow.